and good afternoon. I am Ezra the Scribe. Welcome to my channel where I discuss topics on philosophy, history, the occult, and spirituality. And today's topic I call the spirit of patriotism and the spirit of the patriot. And I think it's very important right now on April 20th, 2025, that we reflect on this. And it came up in a discussion I had a day ago with someone on my thoughts on what's going on in our country and what's going on in choices by those in leadership in our country. And after all of us going through a pandemic and all the crisis in the world, the greatest thing I think we want to have is peace of mind. So that's the topic of today. If you're interested in hearing more, and I'm going to be playing a tune a little bit to dedicate to the spirit of patriotism, do stay tuned. Okay, welcome back. And so, the topic of the spirit of the patriot, and when we think about it, what is the spirit of the patriot? And that is to me, that is the essence of patriotism. And when we think of patriotism, I think back in our forefathers, our ancestors that fought in many wars and fought in many battles to secure our freedom for this country. And what that means is when there's oppression, when there's any form of oppressive ideals over someone's humanity, someone's body, someone's spirit. That's when the birth of the patriot arrives, that resistance to it, that ideal of someone standing for people's rights and people's liberties as human beings. And on this day of resurrection, this is Easter to many people, excuse me, we, many regard Jesus as a patriot for his rebellion against slavery and rebellion against higher officials' ideals over people's who they are. And so we can look at him as a patriot. And same with those that the saying, give me liberty or give me death. And that's really hard, but when you think about it at the time, taxation without representation, when empirical rule was during the colonization of America, the empirical rule of enslaving people with ideals of what makes things more Britain or England, what makes things more a certain ideal of a country or of how things should be, when true freedom and true liberty does not have boundaries, does not have restrictions, other than the universal laws of cause and effect. The Irish had eye for an eye. Take out my eye, at some point someone's going to take out yours. It's kind of like and then the golden rule, which has shifted over time, treat others how you would want to be treated yourself. And then it shifted in customer service world, treat others how they would want to be treated. And that takes respect of knowing who you're dealing with, who you're working with, to respect who they are. And so the Patriot is the one that reacts. And the discussion I had, which really shifted my perception, because after COVID, after the pandemic, which I still got this lingering cough, and I don't know what it is, but allergies possibly. But after COVID, after all these different life changes in the world, one of the greatest things we want is peace of mind. And it's easy to fall into the boat like myself. I had this idea that, I can't change anything. I can't, I'm not in politics. I'm not a senator. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not someone that can go after and make huge changes. But I can focus on my goals. I can focus on what I'm doing every day, and I can focus on myself and kind of shape my ideals, and until that oppressive nature gets in front of me that tries to take away my rights, then, like a sleeping giant, I will react and act. And like as any other person that's having someone trying to take your rights away, you stand up. So, or you get your rights taken away and you no longer get to be who you are. You no longer get to be authentic because someone's telling you what you are doing and what you can and cannot do to your body. And so it becomes a very important thing. So my perception was to keep my peace of mind until someone steps in front of me. Out of sight, out of mind. And that sounds very cowardish, but after all that, the world's gone through with pandemic and everything, I'm seeking to build myself up and build my future. And so that's where, I kind of shifted my ideals to that. But then a friend of mine alluded to me that, yes, it doesn't impact you, and it probably won't ever, because you're a white dude in America, a citizen that's been born here and been working here for years, decades, and most will not affect you, but your cousins who are female and their children, and then so basically our sisters of humanity, our sisters that right now their rights are being taken away, and they're being oppressed because their human rights over their body is being taken away. And when you think of it that way, it's like, and these include, my own kids down the road. Their rights are going to be taken away because this is being allowed to happen. And so when my friend was telling me this, it shifted my perception that, yeah, I can stand by and do nothing like a coward, or I can do something. And even my friend was like, even if I go to a protest and stand, I'm not going to be on the front lines because I know I might not have that big impact, but I can support those that do. and I can support those that do stand for freedom of rights, civil rights, over humanity, over the body. And so that's where the words came to my mind, the spirit of patriotism. Give me liberty or give me death. And we can allow things to happen in our world that we feel we have no control over, but we can make changes, we can make stands, we can sign petitions, we can do things that peacefully that will support those that can make the change. And I'm not trying to make this a chat on politics, because I 100% disagree with both having parties, a Republican and Democrat party. We were talking about that too. I mean, back in the day, Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson fought over, what they thought was right. Jefferson for Democrats, Hamilton for Republicans, and the idea was that Republicans were for businesses that thought what was right for the country, and Jefferson was all for the people and what they thought was right for the country. And by having both those together and negotiating, they would find a happy balance on how to govern this country. Now, as the original idea, we need an American party, not a Republican Democrat party. We need the United States again. We need an American. People say, "Are you Republican or are you Democrat?" I'm like, "No, I'm American." I have American ideals that there needs to be communication, compromise, talks in a peaceful manner way, and not immediate rights being taken away from people. When it's taken, the 60s and 70s, those were huge political unrest because the people rose up. They said they did not want to. They were done. They're tired of being oppressed, and we're not allowing, but many of our leaders that we voted for, that we have a say over, are making these choices for us that our rights are being stricken. So as a citizen, and if you are becoming a citizen, this is part of the rights of an American, is to be a patriot, to give back to your brothers and sisters, because we all have blue, red blood. Red, it becomes red when there's oxygen added, but in truth, we're all human, and the greatest thing we can do is treat each other as human, and strip away the pedestals that we put other people on, as well as ourselves, and work together to have a safe environment to be ourselves and to enjoy what we want to enjoy. Creating art, exploring the world, building on it, creating new ideas, creating new avenues, creating new adventures of life, and enjoying it and experience. And we can do that when we have a free culture, when we have a culture to do so. But when you have an oppressive culture, it goes against all leaders that were against oppressive rule, and that includes, Jesus on Easter. He was against oppressive rule. He was against going against so many empirical rulers like Roman, and I mean, he wasn't even the businesses that invaded the temple. he was he got he got that's a good example. He went like Terminator style and went in there and smashed up got them out of the temple, because you separate the spirit from the human. You separate the divine creation from the human creation, and you do that so that you understanding that in many ways it's all the same, but it's not being respected as such. It's so I hope this little video that I talk about might shed some perspectives, and it's important to stick up for our brothers and sisters in many ways, even if it doesn't affect us. Eventually it will, because we all live in the same environment, same country, and when we allow one law to change to dictate how we rule our life, others will be able to do so as well. And that is my message today. Stay tuned for a song. Liberate Spiriti Sancti Arresti. The cloak we wear, the mask we wear, to please the society, the lies we give, the lies we give to ourselves, and our untruth of who we are, of who we are. Liberate. Liberation from the mind, liberation from the oppressive nature of what we think and should be true. For those are rules guided and dictated to you from leaders of afar that have no say over or no idea of who you are, what you are, and what you want to be in your world. What you want to be in is free, to be able to be your authentic nature. And the empirical gnosis has no say over who you are. I welcome and invoke you, Great Spirit, the truth of the Patriot in your heart, your glorious eradication of our liberty spiritual, in the ways of the truth of our soul and spirit folding and here, and our hearts will beat as one. The guiding hands of liberation are falling from the stars. The guiding hands of liberation are falling from the stars. The voice has been spoken, the truth of your heart, and you want to know what that means to your world. Your freedom begins with your choices and your world. The freedom of your choices, your intentions to shape your world. Your leaders have no say, but your voice is strong, and your voice is heard across on high. Hear the rising voice of your heart. Your love is your sword that shines in the night, cutting on truth of who you are. In your voice it's true, yet none should have say over you. Rise, the Patriot, rise one, rise like the rising sun, guide our society, guide true. Liberati spiritu, liberati spiritu, arresti. It begins with you. It begins with me. It begins with the belief of liberty. The ideal is to be free, to choose over our own body, to be healed, to be harmed. It should be our right. It should be our right to decide, not someone over us. Not by the mighty dollar bill, not by the gold, not by some empirical dictator that has no say. And I'm not talking about our current president, I'm just talking about in general, the world leaders, the people who were rightfully at one time, it was believed, that the truth, the absolute truth, the absolutism, that they were given that divine right to make rules over humanity, to govern. Sure, we need guidelines and rules to keep peace and keep prosperity and things flowing, but when it comes to your body, your mind, and your spirit, no one should have governance over that. No one. And the saying, there's this band, the saying that this quote always hits me: there's nothing under heaven we cannot overcome. And in a world where peaceful protests are capable, there's nothing in this world we cannot rightfully protest and regain our freedoms. So keep strong and rise when you are called. Till then, I hope you've enjoyed, and till next time.